Hello, my name's Shusie Kennedy, and I'm here today to read you the evening story, the bedtime story, and I'm going to read it out of my new book, Foxy and Cinders. Now, because the writing's a little bit on the small side, and I'm a granny, and grannies often have trouble with their eyes, I have made it much larger on the screen so I can read it to you. Now, let me remind you a little bit about Foxy and Cinders. Foxy was a little chubby brown and red and cream fox that he was a little bit different from his brothers and sisters. He was shorter and chubbier, and they used to call him names. So he decided to leave home, and he went on this big adventure and continued to have adventures. He made best friends with a young fire-breathing dragon called Cinders. She was called Cinders because everywhere she went, she left cinders behind her. Anyway, one day, this is what happened in the place where they lived. And this story is called The Girl on Wheels. So each day, Foxy had been exploring different areas of his new home grounds. They were extensive, stretching all around the old house up on the hill and right down the road to the bottom of the hill. There were many tarmac paths through the grounds with places to stop, little benches you could sit for a while. And naturally, there were also wooden bins for all the rubbish that the human visitors brought them. One fine day, he'd been looking all round the opposite side to where his den was, and he heard an added sound. It was difficult to explain, a kind of a whirring sound, and he could feel something through the grounds, but it wasn't footsteps. So he hid and watched and waited. The gentle noise got closer and closer until he could see what was making it, a girl in a chair with wheels. It was powered by some kind of box underneath, and she moved it with a little handle and a lever on one side. The thing stopped, and the girl started to look around her, listening to the sound of the birds singing and a gentle breeze whispering in the trees. She sighed, closed her eyes. Foxy thought she was dozing off for a sleep, so he crept out of his hiding place and walked closer, sniffing all the time, and he was soon next to the chair. All of a sudden, the girl's eyes flew open, and they were looking at each other, close up. Foxy made an odd sound and started to move away. "Don't go, little fox, I won't hurt you," she said. Now, Foxy kept a distance, but he stood quite still and watched. He never understood what the girl said, but he guessed from the tone of her voice that she meant no harm. Foxy sat down at that point. He heard a familiar voice, a woof, and some paws on the ground. It took a few moments for Patch the dog, and following him, Rob, to come up the path. There was a mad few moments when they all said hello to each other, and then Rob turned to the girl. "You're Jenny, is that right?" "I'm Rob," and he held out his hand, and Jenny leant forward and shook his hands. "How do you know my name?" "But you're right, I'm Jenny, and who are you, and who are your friends?" "This is Patch, and this good-looking chap with a red coat is Foxy, and we're all good friends, and we often meet up here in the grounds." Jenny smiled at all of them, and then wanted to know all about them. How did he meet Foxy, and how long ago did he meet Patch? So bit by bit, Rob told Jenny a very brief history of his friendship with both Foxy and with Patch. And he left something out. He never said anything at all about Cinders, because he never thought for one moment she would believe him. "We're walking round to the other side of the grounds. Do you want to come with us?" said Rob. "That would be nice. I'd like that," said Jenny. And they all set out for a walk, with Jenny keeping up in her electric wheelchair and Patch and Foxy keeping up behind. It took them about half an hour to get back to the area where the folly was, and Jenny said it was a very magical place. I'm a bit tired now, so I think I will head back home, said Jenny. We'll walk back with you, Rob said. So the three of them walked back home, Jenny in her wheelchair and Rob and Patch walking by her side, until they all got on very well and all agreed to meet up again another day for a walk. Rob went all the way home with Jenny and left her at her door, and it was quick down the road and round the corner back to his own home and lunch. Back at his den, Foxy settled down for a midday sleep, and he was very relaxed and almost asleep before he heard a small mewing in the distance. His ears picked up and he listened again. The sound was very sad. Something or someone was crying. Being a kind-hearted fox, and not at all like his brothers and sisters, who used to call him names, Foxy got up and followed the crying. It led him to the main path and underneath the rubbish bin, and he sniffed all round the edge and knew the noise was underneath the bin. So he pushed and pushed until the bin tilted over, spilling all the rubbish all over the ground and freeing a small ball of fluff. It was very small, all fluffy and crying, and Foxy didn't know what it was apart from a little animal in need of help. He picked the little fluffy thing up by the scruff of its neck and carried it back to the clearing in front of his den. He dropped the little thing by the side of a puddle of clear water, just in case it was thirsty. The fluffy creature tried to lap the water and got it all over its nose, and it sneezed. Try again, little one, said Foxy, and he showed the little one how to lap, and the creature watched very carefully and did its best to copy, this time managing to drink a little water. You'd better come with me and wait for my friend Cinders. She will ask you who you are and what the problem is. And with that, Foxy lifted the fluffy little thing up by the loose fur on its neck and carried it back to his den and put it on some old sacks. The small creature sniffed the sacks and then turned round and round, eventually curling up in a little ball and settled down to sleep. Foxy watched for a while, and when he was sure the little one was fast asleep, he crept outside to wait for Cinders. No one saw Cinders land. You could only tell by the sound of her feet on the grass. But Foxy knew his pal had arrived. There was a snorting sound, and then Cinders was visible again. Now Foxy and Cinders went through the same greeting that they always did, and eventually said good afternoon to each other very politely. Once that had been done, Foxy started to tell Cinders all about the small, fluffy creature that had been crying. Show me this little one, and let's ask it what the problem is, said Cinders, after she heard the story. Foxy led Cinders inside the shed to the old folly that was his den and pointed to the small creature curled up in a ball on the sacking. It's a kitten. Very small. It doesn't look old enough to be away from its mother. And just as Cinders said that, the kitten woke up and started to cry again. My name is Cinders and this is Foxy. Do you have a name, little one? Asked Cinders to the cat. In cat. You have to remember that each animal speaks a different language, but Cinders can translate. My mum called me Three. I don't have any other name, said the kitten. And where is your mum and how did you get here? Cinders asked. I don't know where she is. We were all out for a walk yesterday and I lost sight of them, my brother and sister, and then we were gone and never came back. And the kitten started to cry again. It was such a very sad sound. We need Rob to find out if he can either take this little one home or find it a home. Clearly, the mother is not coming back, said Cinders. I'll fetch him." And Foxy bounded off down the hill, keeping hidden from all the humans until he found his way to Rob's house. Patch was in the garden, and so he managed to get his attention. Now, Patch knew it was urgent, so he went inside and fetched Rob, who took one look at Foxy and said, "Go back. I'll follow as quickly as I can. Be careful no one sees you." Soon Rob and Patch were back at the Folly and met with Cinders. It took a while for the story to be told, and then it was a question of what to do with the kitten. "It's going to need some milk and food. It will make a very good pet for someone," said Cinders. "Jenny," they all said at the same time. "That's the answer. Let me take the little kitten back to her and see if she can take care of it." Cinders explained carefully to the little kitten that this nice boy was going to take it to a friend who he thought would look after it and hopefully feed it and find it a bed. The sad little fluffy kitten was picked up, and Rob put it inside his jumper and went off down the hill and made his way to Jenny's house. When he knocked on the door, Jenny's mum answered, and Rob asked to speak to Jenny. "You'd better come in. She's in the sitting room. Will your dog be okay in the garden for a while?" said Jenny's mum. Patch was happy to play in the garden for a while, so Rob, keeping his jumper zipped up, went inside to talk to Jenny. "My friends and I need your help," said Rob. And this surprised Jenny because normally it was the other way round and she needed help from other people. "What can I do?" "It's lost its mum and its brother and sister and it needs looking after," said Rob. And with that he unzipped his jumper and took out this small fluffy kitten which cried. "Oh my goodness, bring it over to me," said Jenny. And Rob handed the little kitten over, and it very quickly settled into Jenny's lap, nudging her with its little nose. Mum, come here. Come and look at this. Can I keep it, please?" called Jenny. Jenny's mum came into the room and looked at the tiny kitten. "It's going to take some looking after. It will need milk and food, a litter tray, and then in a few weeks' time we'll have to take it to the vet for injections. But if you're sure you want all this work, then yes, we can keep it." Jenny hugged her mum and turned around, and it was just about to hug Rob as well when he stepped back and he said it was time for him to go home. And Jenny realised it was perhaps a little unusual to hug friends that you've only just met a short time ago, and cuddled the kitten instead, giving Rob her best smile. "I'll take great care of it, and I'll come up to the grounds to the old house again, and I'll let you know how it's getting on," said Jenny. Rob let himself out, picked up Patch from their garden, and went off back home for a well-earned break, a drink and a snack, and he thought that he would be able to tell Foxy and Cinders how it all went at Jenny's house tomorrow. But for now, he was tired and hungry.